What's up, everybody? This is another political short. There's some new information now, and as you can see, I'm out walking and I'm socially distancing. Normally, I would never be out without my mask covering my face, but I'm decided to get away from everybody so that I can have this conversation. You guys can hear me okay. So, political short. Today, our topic is criminal justice reform. Criminal justice reform. So, let me sit down here. So, there's been legislation drafted, hadn't been voted on and any of that, or taken to the floor, but legislation has been drafted by Senator Tim Scott, black senator from South Carolina. And I want to say that he's a Republican. And I'm going to say it, and I'm afraid to say it because I do not want you to turn your ears off once you hear that he's a Republican. I want you to hear. So, see, they said knowledge is power. We have to know what everybody's doing, whether you consider them an enemy or the other side or whatever. You have to know what the plans are of other people. So Senator Tim Scott, black senator from South Carolina, has drafted legislation that he's going to take to the Senate floor if Mitch McConnell allows him to. Mitch McConnell, and forgive me if I'm dumbing down any of this information. Some people have no idea how Congress works, who McConnell is, who Scott is. So I might talk in that way sometime because I really want this to be a show where people understand what's happening in government and who these people are and what it is, and not take for granted everybody knows. So, Tim Scott came out with 10 points for legislation, law, what he wants to be put into law to help our criminal justice system, okay? Before I run through those, I just want to say that I just had to talk with one of my brothers this morning. I realized that most of the stuff he said mirrors what I talked about on Trump, what Trump's executive order said. So what that tells me is, and this shouldn't necessarily affect how we feel about the legislation, the draft, but it shows me that Trump got in a room with the Republican senators and basically said, this is the game. It's always deals and willing and dealing behind the scenes when it comes to laws in Congress. He basically got in the room with these guys and said, in the Oval Office, and said, all right, and let's all talk about what do we need to do, because he's an idiot, he don't know. What do we need to do? And they all came up with it. Not just Tim Scott, but McConnell and Tim and a whole bunch of other white, because Tim's the only black one in the Senate that's Republican. And they said we should do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And Trump said, okay, you think they'll like this? You think the blacks will go for it? Sure, absolutely. And I'm paraphrasing, this is my thought. You think the blacks will go for it? All right. You think the Democrats will go for it? Does it give the Democrats anything to push back on? And if they do push back on it, how will it make them look? So this is how I'm figuring this went. And then, once they decided on their 10 points, Trump probably said, this is tremendous. First he said, this is tremendous. This is tremendous. This is wonderful. This is magnificent. You know, he likes to use those adjectives. But let me draft an executive order. I'm going to go out first and say, this is what I've come up with, because he's a narcissist and it has to look like it's coming from him, right? So he goes out with what the Republicans came up with, and he does his executive order. I read it to you guys yesterday, and it's good stuff. He didn't come up with it. I realize now he didn't come up with it. But the plan probably was, and this is just my opinion, let's draft something that won't piss off the blacks, that the Democrats would be hard pressed for them to push back against. And in doing that, they came up with something pretty damn good. Not only that, let's send the colored guy out to let's have the colored guy drafted. We got one black Republican senator. Let's have him do it, which will make it so if the Democrats do find something, which I honestly personally don't see how they can find anything wrong with it. I like what I see. Then it's going to look like they're going against the only colored guy in the Senate, in the United States Senate. That's pretty smart. But the thing is, what is going to be hard for the Democrats to press against this, because I don't see anything wrong with it. And these, I've already taken 5 minutes, but these are supposed to be 5 minutes long. So I'm gonna run through this real fast. This is what Senator Tim Scott's draft says. 10 sections. I'm gonna run through them quick. Stick with me. I'll put it on the screen. Just sit on the screen so you can reverse and pause. Section 1, George Floyd Walter Scott Notification Act. What this does is require reporting to the use of force that caused death or serious injury to the FBI database. Basically, anything that these idiot police officers, the bad apples do, it's going to go into a database, an FBI database, so it can be seen by other police departments and other criminal justice associations, I guess. That was in Trump's executive order. Section 2, Breonna Taylor Notification Act. Requires states to provide data on use of no-knock search warrants. This is a little different. Trump didn't say that. Both of these that I just said are both tied to grant eligibility for states and law enforcement agencies. One thing I like about Republican Party, those that know me know I'm not a Democrat or Republican, but I'm a fiscal conservative. I like the fiscal mind of the Republicans, and I like the social mind of the Democrats. They know how to hit. They know how to make things happen by hitting folks in their pocket. You start affecting these rich folks or these organizations' pocketbook, then you get changed, right? So those are the first 2 sections. This is mostly just hitting them in their pockets if they don't show who the bad apples are. Section 3, making police recruiting reflective of the community. Basically, expanding grants, Department of Justice grants, if they hire recruiters and enroll law enforcement officers, candidates who have racial and ethnic characteristics similar to the community they will be policing. I like it. Section 4, increase funding for the body cam program. Basically, this is saying give more funding so to make sure that all officers are wearing body cameras during arrest and detention. Also provide training on the use of the video and storage of the video, and make it to where it affects their funding if they don't do it. Now, this is where Democrats are going to probably push back, because anything that has to do with spending money, Democrats get upset about when it's not them trying to spend the money. I think this deserves that. I think you do need to give more grants to them if it's going to help get more cameras and make sure everybody has cameras and are getting training on these cameras. All right. Section 5, penalty for failure to use. Almost like walking. Penalty for failure to use these cameras, meaning, and they also put in here that if a camera is turned off or quote unquote has a mysterious malfunction, reduce the grant, take away grants for failure to use. Now, Democrats may go, I would have went a little further and make it some even stronger penalty for that. Even stronger penalty. All of a sudden, everything mysteriously went off. Why? And somebody died. Yeah, I need to be a little harsher. So I would say that, but this is a great foundation. Section 6, police employment record preservation. So keeping all the records, not hiding records. This is the same as the database thing. Sharing the records to the database and to be used for hiring to see good complaints, bad complaints, everything. And this is also tied to the grants of the law enforcement agencies as well. Section 7, Justice for Victims of Lynching Act. That's what it's called. Basically, new crime of conspiracy to commit a hate crime added to the criminal code. I already thought it was against the law for conspiracy to commit a hate crime, or maybe it's just a crime to commit a hate crime. So this is making it a crime for conspiracy to commit. What is conspiracy to commit? An agreement by 2 or more persons to commit a crime at some time in the future. Okay, I can get with that. I don't hate that. I don't dislike that. Okay. Mind you, these are laws here. Section 8, Commission of the Social Status of Black Men and Boys. This is the one I had a problem with. So looks like they want to set up a commission, just a group of folks talking, committee if you will, that will sit and review incarceration rates, education rates, arrest rates, poverty, violence, fatherhood, mentorship, drug abuse, disparity of income and wealth, school performance, health issues of black men and boys, homicides. It's all the conditions, systematic study of the conditions of black men and boys. I think that's great, but it's missing black women. That's the problem, and that's what Democrats, and I wouldn't mind, I'm not gonna have a problem when they push against that, because they're gonna be like, well, okay, what about black women? They're suffering the same stuff we're suffering. So that's one of my pushbacks. Section 8. Section 9 is National Criminal Justice. Let me start over. Section 9, National Criminal Justice Commission Act. Basically, a commission conducting a review on the criminal justice system and must disseminate findings and guidance on our criminal justice system where they see areas of improvement. I like that. Section 10, de-escalation training tied to grants. Training on alternative uses of force and de-escalation tactics. And those were the 10 sections. And the last thing it was, he had 3 more things on the agenda that's still being discussed. Developing best practices, use of force review boards, and duty to intervene. Tied to their grants, tied to their pocketbook again, tied to their money. Requiring training and imposing, let me say this again. Requiring police officers to impose or intervene when they see a fellow officer using excessive use of force. Amen. I hope that needs to be law. They need to have a strict penalty for not doing that. Just like it should be equivalent to a hit and run, failure to render aid. So 12 minutes in, that is the proposal from African-American Republican Senator Tim Scott. And I want to know what you guys think. Someone asked me in my last video, give us both sides. What's the bad in it? Well, I just gave you the whole thing. I read that's the entire draft for legislation that is going to go on the Senate floor to be voted on. I think it should be put into law. Only problem is it's going to be held up probably by the Democrats because they're going to want to add a lot more stuff into it, which I'm not sure what else needs to be added, but whatever it is, if it's too far-fetched, it's going to hold it up and nothing, and we're just going to have what we normally have. This is how the process works. They go to the Senate, discuss it, and you got Kamala Harris, you got Cory Booker, you got a whole bunch of other Democratic senators that possibly mean well, but we let our politics get in the way of right, and they'll say, nope, we want to add this. Nope, we want to add that. Nope, we want to add this, and then the votes don't go through and nothing happens, and then Kamala has to she drafts something for the Democrats and wants to put it on the floor and vote for it, and then the Republicans are like, nope, we want to add this, we want to add that. Then they throw that out. Then Cory Booker put something, and then they just keep going back and forth, and nothing happens. Whereas I think they should just go ahead and put this in the law and then work on amendments later. This is a great foundation for reforming the criminal justice system. What do you think? This has been a political short, and I'm out of here.